Hype. Come with me tonight. Can't you see? I wanna be with you. Hype. Come with me tonight.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV this Monday. Hope everyone is all well. To my right is Jay. You know who he is, and we're here to talk about the feel-good factor coming back to West Ham. Before I get started, please do smash like the video, subscribe to E20 Zone TV, and hit the notification bell. Jay, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. As you said, I couldn't have put it better myself. The feel-good factor is certainly back amongst the majority of fans. It was nice to watch another spirited and gritty performance at the weekend, and disappointed in all the right ways to come away with just the point from Villa Park. How are you, man?
Do you know what? I'm surprised more than anything. I didn't see that one coming. Yeah, I thought we'd have a right go, but I didn't see that second half the way it panned out for how good we was in that second half, because on another day we win that game, right? But what are you saying about the game?
I think surprise is probably fair. I think I shared a bit of fear when I saw the starting lineup, as much as everyone did. But ultimately, what else was the bloke supposed to do? I looked at the lineup and went, "We're probably going to hold a few goals today," but like, it's probably the best lineup he could have picked. Bowen and Somerville both sadly failing their fitness tests, but he's done the right thing and not rushed them back when we've now got a big game coming up a week today. So I'm sure we'll come to that. 20 minutes in, I was sitting there still thinking we were going to hold a few goals. I thought we were all over the shop defensively. I thought Max Kilman was the thin line between us and conceding 3 or 4 goals. I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
he was just everywhere. He stepped up and played in the centre of that back three. When at Wolves, I think he played on the left of a back three. So he took the extra responsibility playing against playing with a pair of OAPs either side of him. That he did really, really well. So fair play to him. And again, it was really a game of two halves. I thought we were played off the park in the first half and were lucky not to be more than 2 or 3 down. And then I thought we absolutely played them off the park in the second half. I thought we were brilliant. And as you said, we were so unlucky not to come away with more. You think of, first of all, brilliant goal. I thought Wan-Bissaka on that right-hand side was really, really good. Alvarez he creates the space for Alvarez to then have so much time to whip a ball over to the back post. And we had 4 players at the back stick queuing up for it, which was it was perfect. So it was clearly the goal. That was clearly the plan for us to score. We did it once. And then I was frustrated that he brought Emerson off because we had just unlocked how to do it. And I was frustrated when he came off. But then Scars come on and was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. And he was occupying the same spaces. So like I can't criticize any of the subs because it did the right thing. He made some brilliant tackles. He was still pushing on and effectively playing as a left winger when we were in possession, which he does for the 21s. So he was absolutely brilliant when he come on. And then you've got the penalty that was not talked about. That I thought an absolute stonewall penalty.
Completely
the commentators didn't mention. It was only I remember seeing it at the time and thinking, and them going, "Oh, I can't believe Paqueta's not connected with it." And I thought the same overhead kick, like. What can you do? But then you look at the reverse angle. He's literally got 2 arms pulling his shirt back. And I'm sorry, but if that's anywhere else on the pitch, if that's breaking up a counter attack, that's a free kick and a yellow card. It's as simple as that. So I cannot, for the life of me, understand how VAR has not got hold of that. But the refereeing performance was a shambles from start to finish. It was absolutely embarrassing. So you look at that and go, we should have had a penalty. We didn't. We also should have had a red card and we didn't. And then we have a goal that, Souček, I don't know if he mistimes his run. I think Matty Cash is very aware to the fact that Souček is in the perfect position. And Matty Cash steps up and plays him offside. So on another day, we win the game 3-1. I remember a few years ago, we won 4-1 there. And they could have had 2 red cards in one play. But, it's one of those things, isn't it? You come away with a 1-1 draw from Villa Park feeling disappointed and you step back from it and go, do you know what? With 1 centre-back, no strikers and half your team out injured, it's a great result and a great performance.
Well, for me, it felt like they was all playing for the shirt, which we haven't seen for a long time. It felt like they was all together. They never gave up. Obviously, the first 15 minutes of that game, we was terrible. And that's a bit of a problem moving forward. Like in the future, we're going to have to be a bit more on the ball coming out of games. Do you know what I mean? It happened with Moyes. It happened with Lopetegui. It's a consistent theme with West Ham United. Beginning part of a game or the beginning part of the second half, we always come out and always slow. We're not, but we're still in the changing room before we've even got on the pitch. So I do feel that that's got to be addressed. But the resolve of West Ham and the sort of grit was there for all to see. I think the Tyrone Mings substitution, I think that played a bit of a key role in the game because then it evened it up because they had only had one centre half there, and I was literally screaming, "Put balls into the box! Like just keep putting balls in the box!" Like because Conser can't do it all on his own. But yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. Who stood out for you for West Ham side of things, Jay?
I want to give a shout out to Lucas Paqueta first and foremost. I thought he had a really, really good game.
Is that his best performance in a West Ham shirt for the last year?
It's probably up there, yeah. It's probably up there. And like Potter literally said in like his first press conference, he just needed to remind Lucas Paqueta how important he is to the team. And he is that important to the team. When he plays well, we play well. He makes the team tick. Excuse me. And to have a bloke who's played at like 4 or 5 different positions for West Ham now. He's played all the way across the front 3. He's played a false 9. He's played 10. He's played in an 8. He's played in that weird 6 role that he played in like the first 2 games of the season. He has proven how much quality he actually has to bring to West Ham. He looked back to his free-flying best on the ball. He fought for every ball. He was getting up for headers. He was trying to take players on. He was holding the ball up. His 1-2s, which we've missed so much. Fulkrug had just shown how good he was at linking the play up in just like bouncing the ball off of him, one touch and bring someone into the game. And Paqueta started doing that. So massive shout out to Paqueta. He's proven that he still has that quality. He is still that guy. And what I've been saying all along is he's just a confidence player. If we're going to have any man who's going to come in and get the best out of Paqueta, it's emotional intelligence merchant Graham Potter, who is going to know exactly what to say to him, exactly what to do with him. So I'm delighted for him, and I'm excited for when we do start to get these players back and we see Paqueta drop into a position where he can be more creative and he can have more on the ball. Because I thought the fact that he was so far up the pitch, Soler was back to his cardio king ways. I thought I didn't really see what he did in the game. I just didn't see what impact he necessarily had. And the same with Kudus. To be fair, I thought Kudus worked really, really hard, but he looks like he's lacking confidence. Like he purely looks like he's lacking confidence.
I don't know.
Just quickly to finish that thought. I thought there were times when he should have stepped on to Luca Dean and really tried to punish him because he was really struggling at centre back. There was other times where he'd get it in the half space and it was almost like he was hiding in this half space where he knew what he could have done and dropped off and tried to get the ball more, but he didn't. So I'm not digging Kudus out. I'm saying I thought he did okay, but I thought if we had Kudus at his free flying best, maybe we could have pushed on and won the game.
I thought he done really well, Kudus, if I'm being honest. I thought his work rate was excellent on Sunday. I thought people got to understand, that the geezer can't do it on his own to a point. And I know Paqueta's everywhere, but Mo's trying to get the ball down. He's trying to work with Wan-Bissaka, who I thought had a good game. I thought he started off slow and then come into the game. And that sort of right-hand side sort of worked to a point because nothing was really going down the left, even though we scored the goal from the left hand, from a left-sided player, but everything was going down the right. I'm not on this with this Mo sort of like expecting of him. Like, listen, he's a very, very good player, and we're in a depleted side. And same with Lucas Paqueta to a point. That's his first good game he's had in about a year. I know people are going to say Newcastle away, but that yesterday was a game where you see Lucas Paqueta on the pitch. He influenced the game, and he doesn't influence the game enough. Do you know what I'm saying? But listen, I understand what people say about Mo, but I will judge him when he's got Bowen and Somerville and all these other merchants around him, and not people like Alvarez, who I will get onto in a minute because he's going to get a kick in, and Soler and people like that. So
just to follow on that as well, because I think people understand what I'm saying in the chat. Like I'm not digging Kudus out. Like, and I use the stats to back up the eye test. And 29 out of 29 passes completed out of Kudus, which is like fair play. But that says one of two things. It tells me, first of all, great, like he's finding a teammate and he's moving it and he's getting forward. But I don't want to see 100% pass rate from him. It means he's
Mm.
probably not trying enough risky passes, which again probably tells me exactly what I've just said. In that he didn't have a bad game at all. I thought he worked really hard. I agree with you, but he's probably not taking the risks that he was taking, which is what I want to see him do. So I couldn't agree with more with everything that you said. In that when we've got Bowen ahead of him, when we've got Paqueta a bit deeper to play some 1-2s and then break the lines with him, and Somerville like bombing down the right hand side. Wow, that's going to be frightening for other teams to look at. So, yeah, no bad things to say, but I think he's got levels to find, and I think he's got more confidence that he'll gain from having those players around him. So, yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said there. I wanted to talk about Wan-Bissaka as well. So let's just touch on Soufal right centre back, Wan-Bissaka right wing back, because I saw that in the first 20 minutes and was horrified, absolutely horrified that we weren't playing Wan-Bissaka as the right centre back and Soufal further out wide. And the more the game wore on, the better and better Wan-Bissaka got, especially with like 15 minutes to go and it's at 1-1 and we lose the ball and Wan-Bissaka is doing the thing that he's not really done all season. And he's absolutely sprinting back to win the ball back. And then he's sprinting to get forward once we've got the ball back again.
I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, mate, his work rate was phenomenal. And on the ball, he looked so good as well. So shout out to Wan-Bissaka. Like, I thought he was brilliant at right wing back.
I said it on the player ratings that I done last night. I thought he started off slow because he was a bit out of position for the goal. And you see him running back and Soufal against pace. We all know he can't handle it. But after that, I thought Wan-Bissaka was excellent, mate. I thought he worked well down that side. I thought him, Soufal, and Kudus to a point were all doing their jobs to a point very, very well. Let's talk about the Mexican enforcer or the Mexican walking red card that we got at our club, Edson fucking Alvarez. Right, I said it on the player ratings, Jay. So I'm gonna let you go first in what you want to say about him. But I turned around and said that there's two sides to him. There's a good performance there yesterday, and then there's a walking red card, which is not good. What you saying, mate?
He just confuses me. He really, really confuses me. I thought there was a lot of things that he did well. I thought there was a lot of times that we, especially in that first 20 minutes, we just got cut through in that midfield. I can't remember who it was, but there's a time where on the edge of our own box, our two centre midfielders got made a mockery of, and then we brought the player down on the edge of our own box. And I was looking at it like, and I consciously thought at the time, I was like, if Declan Rice was there was absolutely no way he was getting through. And Rice comes away with the ball and he gallops forward and we start a counter attack. We missed that massively. He is a bit of a liability, but at the same time, it was probably the best he's looked on the ball, and he has looked pretty good on the ball for the last two games. But he is just such a liability. My dream is that Souček learns how to play in the six. If Souček learns how to play in the six and is still then a threat from set pieces, I think we solve all of our problems and we end up with a crazy good team by the end of this season. We wouldn't even need to employ. We wouldn't even need to sign many players for us to have a really, really strong team that like we could start with. But Souček's not a six. Souček and Alvarez as a midfield two is so slow and so difficult to like work with. As good as I thought they both were on the ball, but he is just a liability, and I think he always has been, and he always will be. So yeah, I'm probably not going to go as mad as you, but yeah, proper liability.
The thing is with it, and I see people were saying on X and even on YouTube to a point, oh well, you can't knock him. He had a good game. Well, you can knock him because he nearly cost us the game. Like you've got to have balance to an argument, and the balance is you can have a great game, but he's the luckiest man now in West Ham. Like he must do the lottery this week or something, because honestly, Harry did not get sent off. And I watched Matches of the Day 2 last night, and some of their sort of points were a bit sort of null and void to a point, because there were some things that he didn't even mention. Like there was fouls and the Lucas Paqueta pulling down. They bring up the Alvarez thing. He kicks the ball away. He lands on the ball and catches the ball. That's a yellow card. He then fouls John McGinn, which I don't think is a yellow. I think that's a foul, but I don't think it's a yellow card offence. Yeah, but the Kamara one is the biggest yellow card you're ever likely to see in a game. Like it is literally a stonewall yellow card, and how the referee didn't send him off, I don't know. Now, I'm not going to be biased and say, oh well, like it's West Ham, who cares, sort of thing. But you've got to be honest. Like next time he could do that, and he could get sent off, and then it becomes a problem. I thought he had a good game. I thought the assist for the goal was superb, Jay.
Brilliant
I'm not gonna
ball,
lie.
wasn't it? Yeah,
Do you know
brilliant
what I
ball.
mean?
And like I say, it was made from that interplay from Wan-Bissaka on the right hand side. I think him and Kudus were out on that right hand side, played some smart passes. Wan-Bissaka made a really intelligent run, and it just left Alvarez and acres of space. It's the kind
Yeah.
of movement and the kind of interplay. I remember I said out loud, I was like, "Fuck me!" It looks like there's actual patterns to what we're doing in that second half. You could actually see the ideas on the pitch for the first time. Maybe not the first time, maybe like the second time this season. But you could actually see how we were trying to break them down. It was such intelligent play and such intelligent setup from Potter in that he identified where a weakness was. He identified, and this was the thing he said before he joined. He was like, if you don't have a quality advantage, he'll look for a numerical advantage somewhere, which is probably why, whereas in the Palace game, he tried to match them up with the 3-4-2-1 and it didn't work. We had loads of the ball, but we just couldn't break them down. In this game, he stuck with a 3-4-2-1 when it would have been very easy to change given our injuries. And he went, all right, this is a really good side, but we're going to try and find an overload somewhere. And those wide positions, we kept finding overloads, demonstrated by the fact we had those 4 players at the back post for the goal. So having Alvarez in that space, unoccupied, and fair play, as you say, he whips out an unbelievable ball to the back post and a brilliant header from Emerson when he had plays he could have knocked it down to. He had all sorts he could have done. He could have just skied it. And he finds a top corner or the far corner perfectly. So it was absolutely unbelievable play. I mean, I said I wasn't going to get excited, but I do feel a bit excited. Like if we go to Chelsea next week and we've got Bowen and Somerville in that starting lineup, like, mate, who knows what we could do? If you drop Wan-Bissaka back into right centre back, put Somerville right wing back, Bowen up front, and Soler comes out, mate, that's a hell of a lineup to go and play away at Stamford Bridge. Hell of a lineup to put out there.
I'm going to be honest. I believe something could happen with West Ham and with Potter and everything. I will speak about Potter in a little while. But for me, to go to Villa Park the way we was yesterday, depleted, and to get a tune out some of these players, and let's have it right, some of these players fucking was holding 4s, 5s, 6s in games this season. You've got to give Potter credit. My biggest fear is Sullivan, and it always is on that one. But for Potter, when we speak about him, it's going to be interesting to see what everyone thinks. I will get to the chat shortly. I want to get your final thought on Max Kilman, mate, because I thought yesterday he went to Villa Park, he played a great game, he got home. He emptied his pockets out, wallet, keys, mints, John Duran, Ollie Watkins. I thought he was excellent yesterday. I think that's one of the best performances he's had for a long time. Yeah. And for about 8 games, I would say. What did you make of Max Kilman yesterday, mate?
I want to just say he exposed John Duran for the fraud that he is. As you said, he absolutely pocketed the bloke after he had pocketed Watkins for the entire game.
And do you know what? Just to interrupt this, I thought it was fucking excellent what Potter done. He turned around and said, "Right, Max, just go 1-on-1 with them and allow don't allow the fullbacks to sort of let the fullbacks go further forward and just have it 1-on-1 with Duran or Watkins. Not so much with Watkins because Watkins had his game and then he got subbed off, but 1-on-1 with Duran." That was very, very clever. Whoever sort of done that. Carry on, Joe.
Yeah, super smart. I completely agree with you. I thought if you look at the first goal, for example, when we were just getting blown through, our midfield was getting blown through, like we didn't know how to deal with them. Soufal got absolutely bullied by Ramsey. You could see, like, as you said, he struggles against pace. He wasn't strong enough to hold him off. And I looked at that and was like, well, if Wan-Bissaka was in there, this is when I was cursing the decision to leave Wan-Bissaka out wide. If Wan-Bissaka was the right centre back, he doesn't get done there. He absolutely doesn't get done there, and we don't concede that goal. But the reason this is prevalent is we looked weak in the first 20 through the 2 like wide centre backs, but every time something went central, Kilman just dealt with it. The amount of recovery runs he made to cover the fact that we had really slow wide centre backs was unbelievable. The calmness he has on the ball, you can see his like futsal and his technical ability. Every time he gets on the ball, he's so calm, his touch is so good, and he turns really well and then finds a really good pass as well. It was so good to watch. And I said this concept before. When you put him in a team full of like top quality players, he can be a little bit of a liability. He can get a little bit lost. It's almost again like he's a confidence player where if you don't build him up and you don't show him that you believe in him, he probably doesn't believe in himself. But when you put him where he was yesterday, where he was the man in that back five, when we defended as a 5, which was rare that we defended as a 5, actually. But when we defended as a 3 or as a 5, he was the guy. And you can tell Potter was in his ear going, look, I believe in you. You're the guy who's going to hold this defense together, but you've got to put in a big performance. Again, Potter's obviously said the right things to him. He's got the best out of him. And he's proven there's a reason that he's been, he was captain in Wolves and he was brought in as a potential captain and as a leader. But he's still like, what is he, 27, something along those lines? He's still like probably at the midpoint of his career. He's still got a lot of growing to do.
I think he's coming into his prime.
Yeah, I was going to say, he won't hit his peak for another year or 2 yet. So he will keep getting better and we have to keep building him up. So again, I'll be excited for that back 3 when it's Kilman, Todibo, Wan-Bissaka with Somerville on the right and either Emerson or Skiles on the left. That could be a serious like defensive unit that look really solid defensively, but are also really dangerous going forward. There's a lot of good ball players.
Excellent counter-attacking ability there.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah, with pace on both flanks, and do you know what I mean? And what I like with Wan-Bissaka, he comes into midfield and all. Like he's, I'm going to be honest, people knock him, and people say, oh, like people go a bit mad because people really rate Wan-Bissaka in our fan base. But I'm going to be honest, he's top draw. He really is. He's a breath of fresh air. He's a man that goes forward and just makes things happen. With Max, I thought he took responsibility yesterday, and we needed someone at the back who's a leader. Right, I think that's one thing with this club is that we do lack people who take responsibility, and some people do go missing in games for West Ham. But I thought yesterday he was excellent. I thought he was good in the air. I thought the challenge in the first few minutes before the Ramsey goal was excellent. Like I think Ramsey goes through. It's one-on-one basis, and if he mistimes the tackle, he's getting sent off. I thought he was excellent with that. Gets clattered. Yeah, like listen.
Oh my God! The thud. Anyone who was at the ground, I know Lucas, you're in chat. How loud was that thud? Like you could hear it through the microphones. It like I remember seeing it on telly. The shriek around the stadium was mental. Like how on earth he just gets up and just goes, "Yeah, I'm fine," and just carries on was mental, absolutely mental.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. It was a proper Warriors performance yesterday, and people will question Max. I'm going to be honest because of the price tag. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's going to happen because the price tag will always weigh down what Max Kilman does because it's a lot of money for a player. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of money for a West Ham player at that. But nevertheless, you got to give him some credit. And yesterday, he was very, very good. Now, let's talk about our boss, Mr. Graham Potter. What are you saying about this man, mate? Because I am very confident that this man can do some serious stuff in the future. If Jay's there. Jay's looking at me and is he back? He's back.
I'm back. Sorry.
You was looking like a man. You look like a man possessed, son. Right.
I was looking around. I was like, hang on. Nothing's happening. I don't know if anyone can see me, but I can't see me and I can't see you. So yeah, apologies for that. Apologies.
Yeah, I mean, we're a bootleg West Ham fan channel, mate. I mean, fucking sue us. Do you know what I'm saying? What you said about Graham Potter, man?
Look at his first 3 games. Win, draw, lose. The lose, we still had more of the ball. He's come in, and I can't remember who, so apologies, whoever said this in chat. Someone asked, are we mid-bounce? I think, like, this is the new manager bounce, and it's not a glamorous one, right? Because he's dealing with, like, half of his first team out injured. Yet he's still pulling out really good performances. He's still pulled out some really good results as well. He's beaten a Fulham side that are, like, tough to beat and in the top half of the table. We lost to a Palace side that they just done us. Like, we ran out of legs, and, you know, it is what it is, and Palace are playing well at the moment. And then we've gone and drawn away at Villa, and we felt, like, disappointed to come away with just a point. So really happy with what he's done so far, and I'm still not going to get overly excited because I won't let myself get too excited. He needs backup now. He needs, and I think you've said this, I think a lot of people have said this, Sullivan needs to go and help him now. And we've been told all along that this was going to be the week where everything happens. We've seen what deals are out there. We've sent our letters of interest to whatever clubs we want to send letters of interest to. Now's where Sullivan needs to go and put his money where his mouth is. I do think we need at least one player. And I do think that if we do get that one player, Bowen and Somerville come back, then we could start pushing towards the end of the season and maybe try and push for top half. And certainly if we finished 11th at the end of the season, given how it's been this year, I'd say it's a really good season. I'd say we've done well out of it.
I think we've gone through the Moyes era. We've gone through the Moyes in, Moyes out. We've gone through the Lopetegui pain. And I think every person, barring a few fucking idiots, are fully behind Graham Potter. That's what I believe. Now, there is no attention on anyone else. There's no attention on the technical director no more. There's no attention on the manager no more. All our attention now is looking upstairs to the ownership of this club to say, right, you need to back this man now because this man needs help. And I expect signings this week. Don't forget, the transfer deadline shuts on Monday night or Monday evening. And we play on Monday evening. So technically, we've got this week to get deals done because we all know David Sullivan, he don't work weekends. So, it's over to him now. It really is. And for me, this week's going to be key to the whole thing. I need to see this ownership, this club back this man because I do believe in this man. I really do. I was sceptical about other things in the past, like i.e. Lopetegui. I was like, I'll see how he goes. But on Potter, I believe he can get a tune out of the players that he's currently got. He can turn crap players into good players, and he can galvanise a team when it's at the bottom. And listen, he's no mug. Listen, he's no mug, this man. You don't go and get like touted around for big jobs and all that. So, I just feel that Potter needs support, and that's over to Sullivan. Now, whether the only person who can destroy this is David Sullivan there. Do you know what I mean? He can destroy this from the inside out. Do you know what I mean? So, are you surprised with Potter, though, Jay? Really?
Am I surprised? I'll tell you what, I'm surprised he's managed to pull out the performance that he has in just his third Premier League game with an unfamiliar formation and half of his first team out. I'm genuinely shocked that we've managed to pull that performance out there. There's no way in hell that these players with that amount of injuries and playing three at the back, which we have played a few times this season and got turned over pretty much every time. There's no way that we would have pulled out that kind of performance. I just don't see it. So I would say I am surprised, to be fair. I'd say that's probably the fair words. And if we're happy with the performance we've put in, like I've said, with half those players out that would be in the first team, one fit senior centre back, two aging fullbacks either side of him, no centre forward. Like what on earth are we going to be seeing towards the end of the season when everyone's back fit and he's got a full squad and potentially a couple of reinforcements in? Mate, who knows?
Do you know what? I mean, I am surprised to a point because how fast this happened. I was expecting to go down the road a bit more than this, like maybe towards the back end of February, beginning of March, where you started to see stuff happening. A lot of these players have got on board with it. Do you know what I mean? He's sort of pushing Scholes into the first team. I think it's excellent. I think the way he's sort of got the players feeling important. Do you know what I'm saying? Like even Lucas Paqueta, that's a man who, listen, he fucking, he's like Marmite. Do you know what I mean? The geezer, like you either love him for what he does or you hate him for what he does, but there's no middle. With him, he's getting a tune out of him. What's that? That's like 3 good performances now, or 2 good performances out of 3. Like, do you know what I mean? Even at Villa Park in the cup, he got something out of him. And then the following game, he scores 2 goals in 2 games. So, you got to give the man credit. I think the future is very bright with Potter. I don't know why. I've got a feeling that I can see West Ham, and people you can clip this up, but I reckon next year we'll be pushing hard for Europe, easy. Yeah, and I'll be having money on it. I look at him. And I'll just get a sense of that he's working with his side, he's seeing what he's got, and then it's over to the ownership. If he gets 150 million, or I'll just say he gets 100 million in the summer, mark my words, he will sort out the striker front and he will start going around that. Do you know what I'm saying? Are you a bit worried about Sullivan though, Jay, in all this? Because he does need help now.
I don't think I'm worried. I think it's probably what I've expected it to be all along. I think we're likely to we're obviously desperate to do loan business. And I've said from the start of the transfer window that I thought Evan Ferguson on loan was potentially the only signing that we'd make. And if it is, I'm kind of okay with it. We obviously need more. It'd be nice to get Banzuzi in, but he's not a signing for now. He's someone that will come in and play a bit part, probably take Andy Irving's minutes to start with, and will be one for the future. It'd be nice to get a centre back in, but I don't think we will realistically. And I'm not fussed. You'd have to overpay for a centre back now, when in the summer he's probably got targets already identified. Kyle McCauley will be identifying those targets now if he's not already.
What's more important though for you right now?
I think
centre forward for me.
Yeah, I was going to say centre forward as well. We've just played with one centre back, and Cresswell and Soufal have both dropped in and done really good jobs. When Somerville comes back in, Wan-Bissaka probably drops in there as well. And then you've got, granted, it's not the depth that you want. I'd love to have like 4 top quality centre backs that you could have who are out and out centre backs. But to get us through to the end of the season, if you offered me a solid centre back or a striker who's going to get you 8 goals before the end of the season, I'll take the striker who's going to get me 8 goals all day of the week, because we've proven we can do it in this system, but we haven't proven that we can score from our centre forward. So I think get the centre forward in. I'd be happy. I've said all along, I'd be happy if it's Evan Ferguson. I saw the debate in chat. I'm with Lucas. I think if Evan Ferguson comes in on loan, it's a good deal. It suits all parties. He's desperate for minutes. He's a known quantity. So you compare the deals that we've got out there at the moment. You've got the likes of Andre Silva. You've got the likes of Brian Brobby.
What do you think on Brobby? I haven't got your thoughts on that one.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? If it was a straight loan, I'd be like, yeah, sign him up. But I don't want to see a loan with an obligation. There's absolutely no point to it, because we want to try before we buy, realistically. And we want someone to come in and do a short-term job. You offer me Brian Brobby or you offer me Evan Ferguson on a straight loan, I take Evan Ferguson all day of the week. Brian Brobby's not had a great season, and he's not proven in the Premier League. Evan Ferguson has scored goals in the Premier League. He has played for Graham Potter before. You'll never get like a better fit for a short-term signing.
But is Evan Ferguson the long-term replacement for Mikel Antonio? Because that's what needs to be addressed. Yeah, nothing against Mikel Antonio. I know Damien's in the chat there. Shout out to Damien. But we have got to replace the man, and we've got to replace him long-term. Now, for me, I do think this window is important. I'm going to be honest. I think like they have to start planning for the summer in this window. I think they need to get, i.e., a player in of some note who's going to be here long-term, even if it's one player. Do you know what I mean? Who is ideal to replace Mickey, though, for you?
This is a difficult question, right? Because I actually think it's Füllkrug. I think Füllkrug is the rotation option and the bench option that we're going to need from next season. Yeah. And I can see him potentially staying. This is if he stays. Like, he's obviously not been overly happy and he's not been settled in London so far. Evan Ferguson, I see the questions and the comments about his injury record. That would make me skeptical as well about whether he's the long-term replacement. Hence, I think a loan suits all parties. He comes into West Ham on loan. He's got 16 games to play towards the end of the season, right? If he's injured for 6 of them, but you get 10 good performances out of him and he scores 5 goals, you can probably look at it and go, he's done a job. If the price is right, he'd be worth it. But the price is not going to be right no matter what.
But what is the price?
That's the thing. Brighton will want tons of money for him. And if he comes in and scores 5, but he's out for 8 games, we ain't going to want to spend tons of money on him. So I don't think he's a long-term option. I think he is the perfect stopgap before we go into the summer. Antonio, is he going to be here next season? Potentially. Füllkrug, is he going to be here next season? Potentially. If both of them are there, then you go out and you sign your young striker for 40, 50 million quid and you go, you're the guy. And then you've still got 2 backup options for him for the following season. If Füllkrug goes, then cool. Maybe get a youngster and go and get a good striker as well and bed the youngster in over the course of the season. You've still got Antonio to play potentially. And then you've still got your striker signing as well. So I don't think we know who the long-term striker signing is yet. And I don't really want us to try and sign a long-term striker in January. You have to overpay and it's too risky, in my opinion. Give them a pre-season and let them start from a running start.
Let me ask you a question here. And ask it to the chat and all. Füllkrug or Antonio? You got to keep one of them. Who are you keeping?
Antonio. I just love the bloke so much. And there's this thing that we need to talk about, right? Which is the biggest myth at West Ham, which is when people say the phrase West Ham family. It's such a it's such a myth, mate. It's the biggest myth ever.
Oh.
People will have in their bio, right? They will have hashtag West Ham family in their bio, and yet they will throw so much shit at like club legends, at people who've given decades of their career, who've given everything for West Ham, and
Carry on.
they'll be like, yeah, no, don't really sign in for another season. And they'll be turning on people and they'll be hurling abuse at people. And I'm like, people were talking about like extending Antonio's contract. Like, say the words, it's a bad business decision. And I'm like, who gives a shit about a business decision when this guy is given 10 years of his career? If he's motivated enough that he wants to come back from a broken femur and he wants to play for West Ham again, I say sign him up. And I say get him in and let's have one last chance, because football is all about feeling affinity to those players that are representing your club. Mikel Antonio is that bloke. So if you give me a fit Mikel Antonio with the bit between his teeth, I take Mikel Antonio every day on a week and twice on a Sunday.
All I'm going to say is this, yeah. I can fucking completely agree. There is no such thing as a West Ham family. Shout out to Tom Affers. Yeah, he knows who he is. Lucas knows who he is, and a few of the boys know who he is. Yeah, he told me this when I first started out on YouTube. James, there is no West Ham family. Do not believe it. And me being naive, of course there is. There's West Ham family, yeah. There isn't one, I'm afraid. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that I'm gonna be straight, are fucking snakes. Do you know what I'm saying? I'll be honest, they're fucking snakes. They will turn you over, mate, for a slice of cheese. If they love the cheddar, they fucking love the cheddar, mate, honestly. And with me, I won't turn no one over. I do my own thing on here. I'll allow anyone on this channel. And there is no such thing as the West Ham family. Like, people will say it and then use the people who sort of say it and say, oh, no, you're a wrong un. No fucking wrong un, mate. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? It's only the West Ham fucking family when it wants to be the West Ham family. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I was screaming this for a long, long time about fucking, it should be West Ham United, not West Ham divided. I was the one who created that, yeah, and fuck me, I don't ever want to go back to that day again. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I completely agree. For me, if I had a choice between the two, and I had to pick one, who would I trust? I'll probably trust Antonio a bit more, but I'm going to be real. I'm going to be honest here. I think both of them need to be looked at to be replaced. West Ham should have more than just one like young striker. I want to see two strikers at this club. I want to see West Ham like being. I want West Ham to be a bit like Villa to a point. Like they've got Ollie Watkins playing. They take him off and they bring John Duran on. Do you know what I mean? And what's West Ham's answer? Fucking hell, we've got Mikel Antonio. We take him off. We've got fucking Nicholas Füllkrug or Danny Ings. Like, that's where it needs to change, right? And that is why I do believe in Graham Potter's going to change the game, because I don't think he will accept shit from Sullivan. Yeah, he ain't going to accept the Danny Ings, mate. I know that for fucking certain. Do you know what I mean? So, like, that's a start, and then we can turn on that.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? And I'm looking at it from like, how do you want to do this, right? So you want the three strikers realistically at West Ham next year. You want probably your big money signing. Your guy, you're going to spend money on, you're going to go, right, I expect 10 to 15 goals from you in your first season. You're going to want your youngster because when Villa signed Duran, we've talked about this before, haven't we? They signed him for like 15 million from the MLS. And he's turned into a player that they now rate at 80 million pounds a year and a half later. So we need to sign both of those two players and we need an experienced player alongside them. So in that sense, obviously Danny Ings is leaving at the end of the season. Füllkrug, I imagine we will probably just cash in on him and we'll try and get like as much money back from him as we can. We'll move him back to Germany.
I think he's gone in the summer. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's gone. So you take that money that you get for him and you correct the wrong that we made and you go and buy a young striker for the future. Maybe this Imega lads that we've been talking about. I don't know how much money gets him, but I would like to see us go big for Imega in the summer and then probably go and get an experienced player, probably in their like mid to like 25, 26 years old, somewhere around there, who's been in the Premier League maybe, or at least had a couple, 2 or 3 big seasons of going out and scoring goals. And and then you've got your 3 strikers. So in the games where you go, right, I need an experienced like player to come on for 10 minutes, you get Big Mickey, you throw him on, you get him to chuck himself about a bit, somebody who's going to get the fans up for it as well. Because whether people like it or not, when Antonio's name comes up on the board to come on or come off, everyone sings his name, everyone gets up, and it gets the fans going. So everyone loves him, and you need that. I get there's no room for sentiment in football, but there is. I actually disagree with that. I think there is room for sentiment in football, and a player like that, one last dance, one last season as the 3rd choice striker, I'm here for it. I think it works.
As the 3rd choice striker, I don't think it's a bad move. Yeah, I really don't, because then he's going to help the new players coming in integrate into like taking over and passing the baton over. Right, Michael, we'll get to your comments shortly. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Like this is the Parma striker. I can't pronounce his name. French under 21 centre forward. Anyone who's in the chat will know who I'm on about. Yeah, he's a talented striker. Imega's a talented striker. There is talented players out there. As long as West Ham have got a plan in place to go and bring in young up and coming players, I think we'd all accept that. If West Ham went out and bought young player after young player, we'd all accept that. The issue I had, and I'm just going to make this sort of clear, is with Luis Guilherme last year, when you're in a rebuild, do you need a Luis Guilherme in that situation, or do you need to buy young up and coming players? I don't think you buy Luis Guilherme in a rebuild, but I think with Potter, you build with him, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So that's the difference. That's the guy I'm on about. Yeah, he's getting touted about. Parma, centre forward, French, 21 years old. There is enough centre forwards out there on the planet for one of them to come and play for West Ham United. Yeah, and I will not have it any other fucking way. There is billions of people on this planet, and we've got 3 people who are over the age of 30. It's unacceptable. It really is. Right.
I just wanted to very quickly say, concerned about Guillaume again, like a game where we're desperate for a bit of pace, desperate for someone to run in behind. He didn't get minutes. He's obviously not it. Potter obviously just doesn't rate him. So
yeah. Michael, James, would you sign Soler for 20 million euros? I'm going to say no. What are you saying, Jay?
I'm going to say no as well. James McAtee is on the verge of going to Bayer Leverkusen on loan for the rest of the season with an option of £21 million. James McAtee is a better player, in my opinion, and has a much higher ceiling. He will grow with he'll grow. He'll get better. I don't see Carlos Soler getting better. And he's been inconsistent in his time. He's had a couple of good players, couple of good games. But James McAtee would be the future, and he's someone you can build around. He's someone that you look as Potter, a young player that he can work with and teach his ways. I would spend the money on James McAtee if you were going to spend that money. So not for me either.
I would go for Hayden Hackney. He's a very, very good player. Obviously, Joe Bellingham.
I was going to say that name next as well.
Like he's there, isn't he? Like, do you know what I mean? If Sunderland come up, then that's a bit of a tricky situation. If Sunderland don't come up, you go and put a bid in straight away from it. Do you know what I mean? He's like a young, up and coming player. I see what Kev's saying now. Angel Gomez. Do I think Angel Gomez is going to come to West Ham? I hope he does. I don't think so. He's the Edmonton boy. Tottenham are in for him. Manchester United are looking at him again. Will he come to West Ham? I don't know. I think you're going to see a lot of players that sort of Potter brought through at Brighton, similar to coming to West Ham to a point. A lot of people that we ain't even heard of to a point.
Yeah.
You know.
The Gomez one's weird, isn't it? Because I feel like he's there to go and get. And if we were confident that he's the man and that he's who you want to build around, we would go and get him. Because we've talked about this before, haven't we? Where the famous clip of Clive finding out that he's on 13 grand a week. But so if you wanted to get him, you would go, right, you're the guy. We're going to prove it to you. We're going to not only like present a good financial package to you, we're going to present our vision for the future with you in it. And like, there's no doubt in my mind that we could get him if we wanted to. But it tells me that we're probably not convinced that he's the way to go. So yeah, the longer that time goes on, the less likely I think we are to get Angel Gomez, because I think if we were going to get him, we would have already got him.
Let me put this to you. How many players can you see leaving West Ham in the summer? Because I can see a major rebuild myself.
I can see a proper clear out. I can see Potter being pretty ruthless and getting rid of some deadwood. And obviously, you've got the contracts that are expiring: Soufal, Ings, Antonio if he's not extended, and Cresswell. All those contracts are expiring. You add to that the likes of Guido Rodriguez, Carlos Soler is going back on loan. Lucas Fabianski's probably retiring. You look at, does he want to keep the likes of Edson Alvarez? Does he want to keep, like, will Fulkrug leave? Will Mavropanos be like traded? Will he be sold and us get someone else in his place? You could see like 9 first team players out the door.
I'm going to be honest, yeah. That's what I can say.
And you'd have to go and sign them, which is why, if it was me, I would have pushed to go and get Angel Gomez purely because it makes sense from A, a financial perspective, and B, an area in which you need to improve. If you got Angel Gomez on a free and it didn't work out, you're selling him for like 15 million minimum the following summer. So it makes a lot of sense financially to go and get him. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So for me, that's where I would have started. I would have started with the free transfers, him, Kyle Walker-Peters. That's 2 areas in which you've got free transfers to immediately improve on the players who are going out the door.
Kyle Walker-Peters is a no-brainer. Like,
100%.
it's just simply a no-brainer. He can play fullback, he can play wing-back, he can play both sides. That is one where if we let him go, I'm going to be quite surprised. But obviously, Potter have his way. He keeps getting linked with is it Lamptey? Is it Brighton?
Lamptey,
that's the geezer. Yeah, right. What do you make of him? Because he's injury prone and all.
Yeah, there's firstly that. Secondly, why can he never like hold down a place in Brighton's team? It confuses me because whenever I've seen him play, I've gone, Jesus Christ, this guy's a world beater. He looks absolutely unbelievable. Gets injured and then just can't get back in a team. So, I really like him as a player, but I just don't think you can go for him. I'd take Walker-Peters all day long, and I would say Walker-Peters like left wing back, or even Walker-Peters right wing back and Wan-Bissaka right centre back. Imagine the overlaps and the interplay between those two, having 2 right-sided defenders who can both do that job. And then you can, like Somerville, you can rotate Somerville with Walker-Peters when you need to. Like, mate, that is an unbelievable selection of players that you could choose from in that area. So I think Walker-Peters is a crucial target for us in the summer. And like I say, I think those 2, Walker-Peters and Gomez, would be good from a trading perspective and a utilising your budget perspective. And then you've got to go and sign the right players. We've got to spend big on a striker. We've got to spend big on a centre-back as well. So there's a lot to be done in the summer.
I think we need about 9 players. I agree with you. I think the goalkeeper needs to be addressed. I think the goalkeeper, I think both goalkeepers have to go. I think West Ham need to bring in 2 goalkeepers. Or no, obviously you've got Wes Fotheringham there. I would say you bring in a sort of proper goalkeeper, someone, not a Ramsdale that I keep seeing on social media.
I was quickly going to say on that, I'd like Kelleher. I think Kelleher would be a really good sign. Probably available for about 30 million, I reckon. Which it's a lot of money, but we've never spent big on a goalkeeper. We got lucky with Fabianski. Fabianski's turned out to be a really good player, but I think Kelleher's a really good goalkeeper. Knows how to play in a possession style as well. And that's going to be really, really important because Potter's going to have more and more possession of the ball. So I would take Kelleher. 30 mil steep, but I think you've got to go big for a goalkeeper who's going to suit Potter.
I think your spine of your team's going to have to be quality. Goalkeeper, centre half. I do think we need to find a little gem out there. You know what I mean? Who's sort of like the Declan Rice replacement. We haven't replaced Declan Rice. I know it's hard, but there is other. Like, I look at other clubs, look at Brighton, and how they do it. Who's their central midfielder that they've got in there now? Carlos something. He's running the show for them. You know what I'm saying? He's everywhere, and they seem to do it all the time, and that's what we need. Do you think? Before we round this up, do you think that could be a problem next year with the amount of players that are going to be sort of in and out of the club?
I don't think so. If you keep the spine of the team together, I think if you can keep, obviously we're going to keep Kilman. I'd like to see us keep Todibo. I really would like to see what Potter can do with him. I think it's going to be a really interesting end to the season once he's back fit. There's obviously contrasting things. Firstly, I never believe anything that an Italian source says about a player moving to Juventus. Like, they will always... It's the same with Marca talking about players going to Real Madrid. Just don't believe them because they'll just make stuff up to try and drive it and to try and make them want to go. So I don't believe Todibo is going to go to Juventus. But what I do believe is the quotes that come out in The Athletic, where he was talking about how gutted he is that he's not playing at the moment and how much he wants to repay the faith in him. So I do think Todibo is going to come back and have something to prove. So you keep Todibo and Kilman together. I think Alvarez, centre midfield. I think Souček will be the guy that stays in centre midfield next season. You have to figure out a way to utilise him. But I do believe having the likes of Todibo, potentially Agard coming back. We haven't talked about Naif Agard as well. He's going to cost a lot of money for Sociedad to buy him. And maybe we go with Todibo, Kilman, Agard at the back. That's something to talk about another day.
Would you have Agard?
I think it's worth looking at. I think it's really worth looking at. He seems to be doing so well at Real Sociedad. And he's going to suit a Graham Potter style. And we've always said, haven't we, that he would suit a back three. If you had a back three of Agard, Kilman and Todibo, all three of those comfortable on the ball, and then you get a ball-playing goalkeeper, mate, the foundations are there. And suddenly you're looking at that and you're going, Jesus Christ, like we could actually play the ball. You'd need a bit more creativity in centre midfield, which is where we lack. So you'd need a ball-playing six as well, which, again, Brighton's recruitment staff went out and found Moises Caicedo, who then went for over 100 million quid a couple of years later. So I've got faith they can go and get that player. And then the spine of your team is a spine that's familiar. A ball-playing goalkeeper, a back three that you know, a creative six alongside Thomas Souček, and then hold on to the likes of Kudus. Obviously, Bowen's going to stay. Paqueta, if he doesn't get banned. Somerville. Yeah, I've got no issue with it, mate. And then you build the squad around them. I think it could be really exciting.
I'm going to put a question to you to round this up.
Hit me.
Thomas Souček. If a bid comes in for Thomas Souček next year from a certain Scottish manager who is based in Liverpool, do you let Thomas Souček go? And if so, how much do you let him go for?
Oh, that's so grim. That is such a nasty question. Why would you do this to me? Live on E20 Zone. Oh, live and in living colour. Lucas spamming the no in the chat.
I know.
And I feel it. Like we say, there's no room for sentiment in football, but we're just starting to see Souček is hitting his prime. Souček is better now as a footballer.
But if someone offers you 30 million for him,
it's a lot of money in it. It's a lot of money. I think for 30 mil, you'd probably
right. I'm going to put. It's going to be like deal or no deal. This is on the last bit of E20. Right. 20 mil. Do you sell him?
I think no. I think 20 is too low. 20 is too low.
25.
25, I'd be very tempted.
Does 30 get him?
I think 30 probably gets him, yeah. For like considering his age as well. What is he, 30 now? He's approaching 30.
It's about that, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably around 30 or so. He's not towards the end of his contract. He's still got a couple of years left, isn't he?
2027.
2027, yeah. So he's got a couple of years left in the summer. 30 mil for a 30-odd-year-old midfielder who only has 2 years left in his contract is probably good money. But could you sell him? Like, could I like in good faith want to see Thomas Souček sold? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. But it also then unlocks more money for us to go and change the style slightly. So yeah, I think 30 mil does it for me. But I'd begrudgingly wave him goodbye.
If Freddie Potts comes in next year and he's around the side, and West Ham get the money, because I actually think they might sell Alvarez. Yeah, I really do. I think Alvarez will be the one that they'll be looking at and thinking, right, what offers can we get for him? If we can get 30, 35, maybe 40 million for this man, he could be gone. Then you look at that midfield. The midfield's a problem. Soler isn't the guy. I'm not prepared to go and put 20 mil on Carlos Soler. Sorry, it just doesn't do it for me. Yeah, Guido is gone. You got James Ward-Prowse coming back. What do you do with him? Is he do you sell him or do you let him come back into the fold, or how do you go around that one? Then you got Andy Irving, who for me, I don't think he's going to make it at West Ham. I think he's just having bit parts, and to have a career.
I just very quickly say on that, I was out of my seat screaming when he picked the ball up in the 96th minute, 25 yards out. Shoots! And he bangs and the keeper spills it. If only it had gone through his arms. Mate, the scenes at Villa Park. If Andy Irving scores a 96th minute winner.
If Andy Irving scores anything. You know what I mean?
Lucas would have been on the pitch topless, 100%. It would have been
Lucas would
unreal.
have been on the at the corner flag. But when you look at our midfield and you go through it, James Ward-Prowse, Guido Rodriguez, Carlos Soler, Edson Alvarez, Thomas Souček, they are all sellable, if I'm being honest, and they are all sort of people that could go and leave. And because I do think if Potter's going to play this possession-based game and he's going to work from the back to the front, I don't think any of them are. Listen, I think Souček's a good player, but I don't think he will fit a Graham Potter stylistic type. Do you know what I mean? And if the money comes for him, which I think Vladimir, this is what I personally think is going to happen. I think Soufal doesn't get offered a new deal. I think West Ham get rid of Vladimir Soufal and they bring in someone like a Kyle Walker-Peters on a free. It would make a lot of sense. You let Soufal go, you bring Kyle Walker-Peters in, he can play both sides, etc. Then what do you do with Thomas Souček? If Thomas Souček is a sellable asset, which he is, and someone comes in and wants to pay 28 million for him, to say 28 million as the in-between, I think he's sellable, mate. I think he's you sell him and then you upgrade players, or you go and buy players of quality to come into that role. That's what I believe, Joe. I don't know about you.
I think you can sell one of them because I'm doing the adjusting of the squad in my head at the moment with the names you've just said. I agree with you. Guido's gone and Andy Irving's gone in the summer. So you look at Freddie Potts coming back and being a squad player. You need experience around him, and I would be happier with Souček around him than I would with Alvarez around him. Personally, but again, if the money comes in for Souček, I think we keep Alvarez because you need somebody in that midfield who's experienced in playing that role or who's just experienced in that midfield. I think losing Souček's leadership as well. He's been a brilliant captain these last few weeks. I know the armband's obviously going back to Bowen soon, but he's been absolutely brilliant as captain. I think you need that experience in midfield with him. So I wouldn't be against Ward-Prowse coming back and being a squad player as well, purely because of what he brings. And I think Potter would get a tune out of him as well. I'm not saying start him every week. I'm not saying he needs to be in that midfield and he makes us better. But I'm saying having him around the club and having him around the young players, doing the job that he was doing at the start of the summer, I think is a really good thing for the club. So I'd be happy with if one of those two goes. I imagine Guido goes. I imagine Irving goes. Let's say, for argument's sake, you're left with just Thomas Souček in that midfield. Souček, Ward-Prowse, Potts, sign a top quality number 6. Orford probably goes out on loan. And then maybe sign a youngster as well. Ward-Prowse is in and around it for, let's say you're losing a game and you need you've got 10 minutes to go. You need to whip some set pieces in. You bring Ward-Prowse in, and I'd be more than happy with that. That blend of experience with youth and with exciting new players, I think would work really well personally. But again, there's so many configurations in this midfield where Ward-Prowse is very sellable. You could probably get 15 mil for him in the summer, and it's 15 mil more to the budget. You add the money for Guido and Andy Irving, you probably get a combined 20 to 25.
But what's more? How can I put this? What's more valuable, selling James Ward-Prowse for 15, or selling Thomas Souček for 30, so to speak?
Oh God, you're asking the tough questions on E20 on a Monday night. Christ.
It's Monday night. It's E20 Zone TV. What are you saying on that?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily see. Christ, that's a really hard question. I would personally keep Ward-Prowse around if you're going to get 30 mil for Souček, but you've got to then go and spend the combined 35 mil that you're going to get on a top quality centre midfielder to partner Edson Alvarez in midfields. And Ward-Prowse is your sub player.
Let's put it this way. If Banzuzi?
Banzuzi,
Or Banzuzi, yeah. If he was to come in and be the replacement in that sort of defensive midfield, central midfield area, and he costs what, £13 million, and he's young, he's up and coming, he can play box to box, he can play DM, central midfield, attacking midfield. You've got two players there that you have to get rid of. James Ward-Prowse for, say, 15 mil or Thomas Souček for 30 mil. Which one is more valuable in selling at the right time? For me, I don't think James Ward-Prowse... I don't think... If you sell James Ward-Prowse for 15 million, and don't forget you've got the homegrown quota and all the British quota, is he worth selling, really?
Yeah, it's tough in it, and that Banzuzi is an interesting one because I don't think he doesn't look Premier League ready. He looks like he's got a ton of talent, but he
Mm.
looks like he's going to be another one that needs time. Yeah, if you were to sell Thomas Souček and throw Banzuzi in his place, I think he'd be a rabbit in the headlights. Personally, I think he'd really struggle. But if you can ease him in and you don't put too much onus on him immediately, I think that's a really sensible way of doing things. But I think you've got to sign somebody who can come in and make a big impact now to replace Thomas Souček because he'd be such a big loss. So in that scenario, I would sell James Ward-Prowse and I would sign Banzuzi as his replacement. And I would say, cool, well, here's your like gradual replacement. And then you've got two youngsters in Banzuzi and Freddie Potts, but you'd still have to go and sign a proper good number 6 to then rival Edson Alvarez for that shirt as well. So again, so many different configurations of this that I'd be happy with. But none of them are right and none of them are the same. Like they're all different ways of looking to solve what is a really difficult puzzle. And this is the reason I also think we need to sign a new technical director because Carl McCauley as a head of recruitment is there to identify talent and sculpt a squad together. We need someone who's just going to be focused on how do we get the best deals for everyone? Because I think Carl McCauley is going to be a busy boy. He's going to have 9 out and probably 9 in. So he's got a lot to do between now and the end of the summer window. We need someone to go in and do the negotiating for him, in my opinion.
As I was just about to cut it off, Richard's turned up. Rich, what do you want to say, son?
I just want to say what an absolute pleasure yesterday's viewing was. I was at the game. I thought the West Ham fans were magnificent as always. The Villa fans were silent because they had nothing to cheer about after the first 10 minutes because we controlled the game expertly, put them under pressure. Yes, I know they had that injury at centre half, but at the end of the day, we actually looked like taking advantage of that, and we really controlled this game. And I was gutted we didn't win, but you've got to look at it as a really positive performance at the end of the day. We looked a lot like, and I don't know if you guys felt this, like Brighton under Graham Potter, where they had that really nice solid shape, and teams just struggled to play against them. It was slightly more energetic. They had slightly more to give. They were a bit smarter. We played really well. And we had a lot of players out of position yesterday. That's the most incredible thing. And we managed to put together a performance like that. It was just exceptional, gents, wasn't it? Really exceptional. Yeah. I mean, the win would have been just incredible, absolutely incredible. But you take the point, you know, I think realistically, what are we aiming for in the league this season? Europe seems to be out of reach. But we keep playing like that, we're going to get a lot of points this year.
Who impressed you yesterday?
Look, aside from the manager, I do want to say it again because I think last season we looked like when we had a week to prepare for games and previously we actually got worse almost, you know. And look, David Moyes, massive support. What an amazing result for him at the weekend. But we would regularly look. We needed the momentum almost of Thursday to Sunday because what we were trying to do was a little more like agricultural, if you will. But whereas this, it was like, right, this is what we've been working on. And, oh, man, we were excellent. But the players that impressed me most, Paqueta up top, Graham Potter has communicated to him. He's used his masters in emotional intelligence to dig inside his mind and extract the out-of-form Paqueta and input this newfound belief in himself. I thought they were all fantastic. What about you, gents? I mean...
Listen, I thought everyone to a man put in the shift. I thought Max Gilman done his job as the only centre half at the club currently right now. And I thought he was excellent. I'm going to make mine short and sweet. I think the best person at Villa Park was Graham Potter because he's inspiring these players to do stuff that previous managers haven't done. And they're working. Everyone's together at fucking last because it's been... I'm going to be straight. It's been fucking chaos in the West Ham community over the last 2 years. Absolute chaos. And at last, we're actually all together. We all can all see the plan that's happening. And we're all going in the right direction at last. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, Jay. What are you saying?
Yeah, I agree with what both of you have said. I thought Paqueta was sensational. I change my mind on my man of the match from Paqueta to Wan-Bissaka every time I think about it. I'll be happy with Paqueta being man of the match. I'll be happy with Wan-Bissaka being man of the match. But to your point, mate, I think to both of your points, actually, the way that Potter is immediately getting the best out of certain players, Wan-Bissaka looks... What's really interesting about Wan-Bissaka is neutrals watch that game and are like, it's so good to see Wan-Bissaka's resurgence and see him playing as good as he's ever played. And this is after, 4 games under Graham Potter? Like, it's amazing that he's managed to do that. Paqueta's been nowhere all season. Even for half of last season, he was nowhere. So for a calendar year, this guy's been an absolute ghost. And the first 3 performances he's put in, 3 or 4, he's put in blinders and he's been man of the match in 2 of them. So it's amazing to see what he's doing. Edson Alvarez's quote afterwards saying this is just the beginning. His ideas are really clear and he's getting them across. Music to my ears. It's all I want to hear, because clearly the ideas weren't translating from the previous manager, and it took a while for them to even look like they knew what they were doing. And even when they looked like they knew what they were doing, they looked like they didn't want to. Whereas under this manager, the ideas are clear, the motivation is there, and they're getting the best out of them. And like I say, aging wide centre-backs, both put in pretty good shifts. Both did really, really well, given their limitations of where they're in their careers. So if he's managing to do that with half his first team out, mate, just wait until we're like in the guts of this season and we're at the business end of it. Great, we got nothing to play for, but at least it'll be exciting, and we'll be seeing us play against some big teams and go, we back ourselves today. And that's all I ask as a West Ham fan. Back yourselves against anyone and give us something to get behind. And he's done that so far.
Can I? Sorry,
Go on, Rich.
I was just going to propose a question to you, gentlemen, and the people in the chat. The decision to not appoint Graham Potter this summer and appoint Yunan Lopetegui instead, catastrophic. I was going to get you to rate it out of 10, but instead, I'd like to describe, if you can, that decision in 3 words or less.
Cheap management appointment. Cheap. That's what it was. If you want me to be honest, I'll say this. Was Potter ready for West Ham? That is the question that needs to be asked. Because if he was ready, then we are the luckiest bastards in the Premier League right now, because managers have come and gone and no one's picked him up. I feel that they took a risk on Lopetegui and they gambled, and the gamble didn't come off. And for me, I'm actually glad that they've actually seen fucking sense to a point and gone, right, we'll get Lopetegui out and get Potter in. Jay, what you saying?
I can't do it in 3 words or less, but here's what I'd liken it to. You know, when you go to a restaurant, right? Because West Ham's managerial search in the summer was like, we were in a restaurant. We're free of any manager, whatever you thought of the manager before that. And we've sat down in this restaurant, we've looked at the menu, and there's a load of fancy stuff on the menu you don't quite know a lot about. You've heard people say they've had it before, and like there's that option, or there's like a really good burger on the menu. It ain't overly exciting, but you know you're going to get something out of it and you're going to enjoy it. And we went, and it's when you sit there and you go, oh, I'm going to go for like the crab linguine or something today. And then it turns up and you look at it and you go, I really wish I got the burger. And that's that. And we're now at the first time that we've gone back to this restaurant and we've sat down and we've gone, right, I'm having that burger today. And we've got the burger and it's great. And we're enjoying the burger. Sometimes the simplest answer is the best one. Sometimes you don't need to go for the fancy European option. Just stick with a burger. That's my analogy for it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. That's just made me hungry, man.
Well, I'm going to let you go so you go have something to eat. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, Rich.
Rich, take it.
Thank you, gentlemen. All the best.
No worries, man. All the best to Rich. 3 words. Sullivan. Listen, in one way, and listen, anyone who knows me on this channel, I fucking despise that fucking little dwarf bastard. But in one way, we've got to count our lucky stars that whoever leaked that photo out of Steidon and Potter having that discussion, they've done it for the best interest of West Ham. And listen, sacking Lopetegui was the right thing to do. The way it was handled, I thought was wrong. The man, you still got to have a bit of dignity and a bit of class about you, but sacking him was the right thing to do. Jay, any final words from you before we make a move, mate?
Let's buckle up for a load more phantom bids and strange transfer rumours that are going to come out. It's been very quiet since a week ago when we bid for John Duran. It's all gone very, very quiet. Letters of interest for Banzuzi, phantom bids for centre forwards, guys you've never heard of that everyone gets excited about and then tweets the word bring. for whatever reason that they do that. I've got no idea. Let's just sit back and enjoy it. What in a week and a day, we'll all be sat there probably with Evan Ferguson in a West Ham shirt, and good luck to him. If that's who we get, that's who we get. Just enjoy it, chill out. We're probably in the best spot that we've been as a fan base, probably all season. The bar wasn't very high on that front, but and yeah, let's roll on to Chelsea away next week.
Yeah, completely agree, mate. This week's going to be stressful, but I will be back to give you my thoughts in the week for Phantom bids and more. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to E20 Zone TV, hit notification bell. We will see what happens in the week, but as I always say, he needs help, he needs support, and that's over to the ownership of this club. Right, that's us done. Enjoy your Monday evening wherever you are. Be safe, be well, and be Graham Potter's Claret Blue Army. Abosh.